You may have seen a report earlier this week, Quebec Solidaire recently commissioning a Léger poll to gauge Quebec's support for a government program that would provide free lunches for kids in both elementary and high school. And here's the good news. 54% of Quebecers support the idea, perhaps I should say only 54%, but that number jumps to 67% when a voluntary financial contribution from parents between $0 to $7 is included in that question. So let's try to find out more. Gabriel Nadeau-Dubois is, of course, Quebec Solidaire parliamentary leader. He is on the line. Mr. Nadeau-Dubois, let me begin by first of all asking or suggesting that I would imagine when I first saw the numbers that everyone would have been in support of this. And then I said only 54% at the beginning. Was that something you expected?
Oh, I mean, there's not a lot of public policies that have that level of support in the population, especially when we look at the proportion of Quebecers that wants a universal school lunch program with a voluntary contribution from parents, which is Quebec Solidaire's proposal. I mean, 2 Quebecers out of 3, no political party has that kind of support. And there are very few public policies that have that kind of support. So I was positively impressed by the results of that poll. This means that there is a consensus building in Quebec about this. We have to remember, and we have to remember our listeners, that right now in Quebec, 1 student out of 5 on the school benches are hungry. 1 out of 5 in all Quebec. And that statistic is getting worse and worse every year. So we need to do something about this. We cannot let children go hungry on our school benches. And the solution that is applied in a lot of countries around the world, especially in more and more American states, is a universal school meal program.
Yeah, by the way, with respect to the 67%, I agree with you on that. That's an excellent number. My reference was to the 54, barely half, who until it was time for parents to kick in some money said, well, I don't know if I like this idea or not.
Honestly, I expected that number to be lower. It depends, I guess, on your perspective.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned other countries. Obviously, this is nothing new. It's been happening and continues to happen in other places. It's one thing to bring it up. I will ask 2 questions. Number one, on this voluntary contribution, I believe your point is this would actually bring more money into our economy. So explain how that would work.
Yeah. So around the world, what we're seeing is that for each dollar invested by governments in school meals, the economic impact is between $3 and $10. That for each dollar invested by the government. So it's actually a very good investment for society and for an economy. That's what we're seeing in France, Brazil, Finland, but also in Maine, New Mexico, Minnesota. There's now 8 American states that have that kind of program. And what we're putting forward is the idea that parents should be allowed to contribute financially between $0 and $7 per meal. That's a formula that actually exists right now in some schools in Quebec. And what we're seeing is, in average, parents are contributing $3.50 by meal, which means that parents that have a little bit more of money decide to contribute more for that money to benefit lower income kids, and lower income families can benefit the program on a free basis. So that's actually a win-win situation. It's a win for the public finances, and it's a win for the budget of parents.
So I guess my next question would be, there's a contribution here from parents, but in terms of how much this would cost the government, do we have a number?
Well, depending on the kind of program, we're talking of an investment between $400 and $700 million per year. That's to cover every public school in Quebec at the elementary and secondary level. But then again, you have to calculate the fact that for each of those dollars invested, there is a between $3 and $10 return on investment for the government and the society as a whole. So on a long-term basis, it's actually a program that will create a positive economic impact for Quebec.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of selling, I guess, to do to get the government to go ahead with this. Where are you on that? I mean, discussions have begun. Where do we stand?
Well, what we want to do is create a common front with all political parties, because I can't believe that Mr. Legault, who actually says that education is his number one priority, I can't believe that he accepts that right now in Quebec, one kid out of 5 in our school is hungry. I mean, if I was Premier of Quebec, that number would keep me awake at night. It's not possible in a society as rich and prosperous as Quebec to tolerate that situation. So I think we can convince Mr. Legault. I think we can convince the Education Minister, Mr. Drainville. We have already the Parti Québécois that is agreeing with us. We want also to convince the Liberals. We want to create a common front with all political parties, because no one in Quebec, I believe this in my heart, no one in Quebec wants hungry kids on our school bench.
Sure. You know, I would ask, given the fact that that's a significant amount of money, obviously, to be as an investment, at a time when we're complaining about government spending $6 million to bring a golf tournament here, $7 million to bring a hockey team here for a couple of exhibition games, yet at the same time seeing this provincial government that's obviously in financial need here, cut programs other places, whether this is going to be an easy sell or not.
We understand that the budget situation right now is tight. But let's be real here. What is more important for the future of Quebec, for its economy, for its well-being? What is more important than making sure kids can learn in school? And everyone knows that a kid with an empty belly is not going to learn as well. So it's actually an investment we need to do in our future. And I would challenge Mr. Legault or Mr. Girard, which is our finance minister in Quebec, to tell me three things that are more important in a society like Quebec, more important than making sure every kid has his belly full on the school benches. I think it is something we should have done a long time ago in Quebec. I mean, New Mexico is doing this. New Mexico is not a socialist republic. Maine is doing this. The Minnesota of Tim Walz is doing this. France, Brazil, Finland. Canada is the only country in the G7, that has no universal school meal program. I mean, we are able to do this in Quebec if all those countries and states are doing it.
Yeah, I guess as a final question, as you point this out, I would say, why have we waited this long to even finally consider doing this?
I think it's like the third pillar of our system to help families in Quebec. We made we invented a public daycare system in Quebec. By the way, in the public daycare system, there is a free meal for everyone, and we would never think about going back on that progress. We have a parental leave system that is one of the good in the world, and for us, making sure kids eat at school is like the third pillar to really have a Quebec where families and kids are the priority.
I think most Quebecers probably would agree. I wish you luck. I think we can all say it seems like it's about time, certainly, for us to have that kind of a program here. Thank you so much.
Mr. Ren, let me just invite your listeners to a very special event we're organizing on October 20th at the Chic Resto Pop in Hochelaga Maisonneuve. We're organizing a big public assembly to talk about this, to present all the details of our proposals, and to chat with Quebecers, with Montrealers about that issue. So everyone's invited, and I think questions in French or in English, we're going to answer to everyone.
October 20th?
Yes.
At what location?
At Chic Resto Pop in Hochelaga Maisonneuve at 1:30 p.m.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck.
It's a pleasure.